Hey yo, I'm the MMA loser and I'm back with another video. And today I want to talk about UFC 301. And before I start the video, please watch this video at 2 times the speed so that it saves some of your time and you can enjoy it in a better way. And as we all know, last month, I believe 2 weeks back, we had UFC 300, arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, combat sport card of all time. It might not be the greatest, but it's definitely one of the greatest. Uh, yeah, after that, we have UFC 301. I mean, compared to 300, 301 doesn't really look that great, but we have got a couple of good matchup. At least the main card. The main card is looking really good. It's looking really solid. But yeah, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about this card. We'll talk about what could be the implications of this fight, of these fights, and who wins this. We are going to make some prediction about who's going to win. And I'm fairly certain a lot of my predictions are going to be wrong, because that's how it works. And also please subscribe to my channel. I've got very few subscribers. I want to get to 2,000 subscribers before this year. And yeah, please subscribe to my channel. Without any further ado, let us talk about the first fight of UFC 301, Alejandro Costa versus Kevin Borges. uh, Kevin Borges, I don't know anything about him. I have no idea where he's from. He's from Peru. um, Look, I'll be very honest. I do not know these two fighters, so I'm not going to waste your time. But I'm going to say Alexandre Costa wins this because he's a Brazilian, and this fight is taking place in Rio de Janeiro, right? Isn't it taking place in Rio de Janeiro? I think so. Yeah. So of course, I'm going to side with a lot of the Brazilians in this fight, and because that's an easy way to make a prediction. But again, this is UFC. You never know what can happen. We got Ismael Bonfim. He's fighting against Vince Pichel. Again, Ismael Bonfim, I think he's on a good win streak. Um, he lost to Benoit Saint Denis in his last fight, and Benoit Saint Denis is a really, really good fighter. Exactly not. I mean, Benoit Saint Denis is not exactly a great fighter, but he's a good fighter, and he lost to, of course, our man, the Diamond. But before losing to Benoit Saint Denis, he was on a crazy win streak. One, two, three, four, five, six. He was on a 6 fight win streak, seven, eight fight win streak, 9 fight win streak. Wow, the dude is on a crazy win streak. Then of course he lost against Benoit Saint Denis. So I'm going to go with Ismael Bonfim. I don't know much about Vince Pichel. Look, call me a casual. I don't care. He's 41 years old. 41 years old. Really? He's still fighting. He lost to Mark Madsen. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Like, nobody should lose to Mark Madsen. The dude is he's an Olympic wrestler, but he's still not that good. I'm going to go with Ismael Bonfim. I think he wins this fight. Dion Barboza versus Armesta Krakait. Wow. She's from Europe. Pound for pound Brazil. I'm going to go with Dimon Barbosa because this fight is taking place in Brazil. So I'm going to go with a Brazilian. Because the Brazilian crowd is not known to be the greatest, if you know what I mean. Like last time when Glover Teixeira fought there, they were not exactly that polite against Glover. So yeah. When Mauricio Rofi against who is he fighting? He's fighting against Jamie Malarkey. So Jamie Malarkey, yeah, Jamie Malarkey has lost to somebody. I forgot who he lost to, but this guy is on a 4 fight win streak, and prior to that he lost against Manuel Souza, which was a KO TKO. So I don't know. Is it this going to be his? No, this is I think his. Yeah, I think this is going to be his first UFC fight. Is it? This is going to be his first official UFC fight. So he has quite some pressure on him, and he's fighting Jamie Malarkey. I mean, Jamie Malarkey is a veteran of UFC. We have seen him fight a couple of times in UFC. Yep. I think he's been fighting in UFC for some time now. I think, yep. He's been fighting in UFC since 2017. Is it? No, 2020. So I don't know who to choose in this fight. So I'm gonna go with Jamie Malarkey because he's a veteran. I mean, I think I'm going to go with Mauricio Ruffi because he has a momentum, and this fight is again taking place in Brazil. I cannot emphasize more on that because the Brazilian crowd, they're known to be a little bit violent. They're known to be a, I don't know, they support their fighters in a, I don't, not necessarily in a good way. But Joaquin Silva is fighting against Drakkar Klose, lightweight. Mm, I don't know, dude. I've never seen these guys fight. That's my problem. I've never seen. I have heard about Joaquin Silva. I think he lost to somebody. Who did he lose to? He won against Clay Guida. Not exactly a great thing, but he did rock Arman Sarukian. Sarukian, yeah, in his last fight. So let's see. I think I don't know who's going to win this fight. Probably Joaquin Silva because they're fighting in Brazil and they don't really have to, the Brazilians don't really have to travel a lot, but since the Americans they have to travel there, they have to get adjusted to the weather. They have to get adjusted and accommodate and acclimated to the environment of Brazil. So I think Joaquim Silva will probably win this fight. Then we got John Silva against William Gomi. He's from France. I have no idea who he fought last. He's on a what 4-fight win streak. Three. Oh, he's on a crazy win streak, dude. He's on a crazy win streak. So I think this guy should win this fight because of the momentum that he has in his corner. I think he's at featherweight. John Silva, I haven't heard much about this fighter, but you know what? I'm going to go with the Brazilian. A Brazilian with a crazy win streak. He's 27. He's fairly young as well. Isn't he? Is he the same person that trains with Charles Oliveira? I'm not sure about that. How old is William Gomez? I think he's very young as well. He's 26. They're both really young. Look, if this fight was taking place in America, then I might have favored William Gomez to win this fight. But since John Silva, they're fighting in Brazil, I'm going to go with the Brazilian. Okay, now we finally have someone that I'm really interested in knowing. Myktybek Orolbai. Myktybek Orolbai. I think he's from Kazakhstan. I think he's from Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan. I think he's going to win this fight. I think he wins this probably by a finish because he defeated Uros Medic in his last fight. Most probably he's going to fight at welterweight. Yes, he's going to fight at welterweight. The dude has got good, and he's fairly young. He's 26 years old. Apart from that, he's got really good knockout power. And in his last fight, he showed his wrestling. His wrestling is good. Again, Elvis Brener is also a good fighter. Probably, I don't know if he's actually a good fighter, but I think I've seen Elvis Brener fight. But his fight with Uros Medic, I think I predicted Myktybek Orolbai to win that fight, and he did win that fight. And he was very dominant. I think Uros Medic had some good moments when it came to the striking exchanges. But once the fight got to the ground, once he managed to get Uros Medic to the ground, like Medic had no answers to him. And he's from Kyrgyzstan, so I think that kind of gives you an idea about how good this dude is. He won by a neck crank. Yeah, that's crazy. He won by a neck crank, not even a submission. You know who else won by a neck crank? Habib Nurmagomedov against Conor McGregor. When someone wins by a neck crank, like you need to understand, they're not just really skilled, they're really, really, really strong. Because imagine they're trying to break your neck. They're not even trying to use jiu-jitsu at that point. They're just simply trying to break your neck with raw power. So I'm going to go with Myktybek Orolbai. Still, I'm going to take a look at Elvis Brenner's record. I think he's on a win streak probably. Yep. But I'm going to go with Myktybek Orolbai. I can be wrong. I can be wrong. I don't know how good. I think I saw him fight Elvis Brenner, but who did he fight? He has fought against Kurishutsky, Guram Kutarladze, Jordan Levitt. There was Joubert Tukegov. Not exactly great names, but I'm going to go with Myktybek Orolbai. I just think he has that ability to win. But it'll be interesting how he adjusted to the weather of. But I don't know where does he train from. Where does he train? That's another thing we need to warn. Fighter links. Yeah, whatever. I have no idea where he fights. He probably trains at Kyrgyzstan. So that will be interesting if we can actually find, like, if we can adjust to the climate of Brazil, because Brazil is hot. Brazil is pretty hot. And Kyrgyzstan is not exactly that hot of a country, but let's see. Carolina Kowalkiewicz is fighting against Yasmin Luziando. How old is Yasmin? She's 22. I'm going to go with Yasmin Luziando because she is young and they're fighting in Brazil. she will definitely have a hometown advantage. Yeah, that is what I was trying to say. I couldn't find a word to express it, but hometown advantage is definitely a thing. People who are from Brazil are going to have a hometown advantage because the crowd in Brazil, yeah, they shout a lot. They are pretty expressive. Would be the way to describe them. Again, in I think Carolina broke her losing streak. Oh no, she's on a 4-fight winning streak, dude. Yeah, and so it is interesting if it'll be. But she's 38 years old. I'm going to go with Yasmin Luziando, but Karolina Kowalkiewicz is a good fighter. So she fought with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, I believe. Yeah, when I remember watching that fight, that was one of the oldest fights that I watched actually. Joe Anderson Brito is fighting against Jack Shore. Jack Shore is a good featherweight, but he was, I believe, a bantamweight fighter. He's 29 years old. He was doing really well in bantamweight, then he decided to move up to featherweight. He lost to Ricky Simon, and prior to that, he was on a 25 win streak, I believe. What is his record? No, his record is, yeah. He was on a 16 fight win streak. Then he fought against Ricky Simon. Then he moved up to uh, featherweight, and then he got a win against Makwan Amirkhani. So it'll be interesting to see if he can actually win against uh, whatever this dude's name is, Joan Darson Brito. He looks really old, to be honest. From at least from, yeah, he's fairly young, dude. He's 29. They're both of similar age, but I don't know why this dude looks like he's like 10 years older than him. He looks 35, at least. But you don't know. I mean, he's Brazilian, whatever. I don't know. I don't know, man. He's going to fight against Jack Shore. I have no idea, dude. I don't know. I'm just going to go on a I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I don't know who wins this one. I probably Jack Shore. I'm gonna go Jack Shore by a decision. Yasmin Luziando, I think she wins this by decision again. Myktybek Orolbai, I think he finishes this fight. And about these fighters, I have no idea, dude. I have no idea about these fighters, how they're going to win. Caio Borralho versus Paul Craig. Now these are the fights that I'm more interested in. I think Caio Borralho wins this fight by a good unanimous decision. I think he beats up Paul Craig on the ground for like. I think he beats up Paul Craig on the feet. Then they try to take it to the ground. I think he finds a way to win this fight by a lot of ground and pound, but he doesn't finish. But he will not finish Paul Craig, in my opinion. I think he will just win by a good dominant decision. And the thing is, this is in Brazil, so he might get a finish because he will have a pressure on him. He will definitely have a lot of pressure on him because he hasn't had a finish in his he hasn't had a good finish. Like, yeah, most of his wins are by unanimous decision, and I think he has got a couple of finishes, but I still think he can win this fight because he's 31 years old. He has got really good jiu-jitsu. His striking is also getting better. So, and he's a really strong fighter as well. And I think he can put up a good. I think he can handle the grappling of Paul Craig because Paul Craig is a really bad striker. I don't know how to say it. Like, he's a really, really bad striker. And it's really weird that Paul Craig is one of those guys. He has defeated Jamal Hill and Magomed Ankalaev. He has finished both Jamal Hill and Magomed Ankalaev. And yet, he loses to people like who? He has lost to Johnny Walker, Jed Hu. Who the hell is Jed Hu? I mean, these are grappling fights. But he has lost against Volkan Oezdemir. He has won against Nikita Krylov. Like, look at his record there. He has won against Jamal Hill, Mauricio Hua, Nikita Krylov. I don't know who this dude is, but Kennedy Nejisu, that's not a Magomed Ankalaev, and he lost against Alonzo Monifield. Who the hell is Alonzo Monifield? I mean, I know who Alonzo Monifield is, but come on, how can you lose against him? Foundation style Kung Fu. I don't think I don't think he has a foundation style of Kung Fu, dude. He is probably one of the most active guard players and has one of the most dangerous guard when it comes to UFC. But I still think Caio Borralho. Wow, I said Caio Borralho. God knows what I'm saying. I think Caio Borralho wins this fight by a unanimous decision. Michel Pereira versus Ihor Potieria. I haven't seen this guy fight. He's 27 years old. He's from Ukraine. He's from Kiev, Ukraine. He has made $50,000 in his entire career. Not a lot of money, to be honest. If he's especially if he's living in America, I hope he's not. Yeah, not a. Uh, I think Michel Pereira should win this fight because Michel Pereira lately has been looking really good. He has I don't know how to explain it. He's becoming more mature. He's not fighting like a man on crack. Like he's not doing a lot of those Mortal Kombat stuff that you see people doing, like he used to do earlier in his ring. Earlier in the inside the octagon, he used to do backflips and spinning 360s. I think he has kind of cut down on those. We never know because in his last fight he won by rear naked choke. I think he's going to win this fight. He's only 30 years old, which is not exactly very old. I mean, he's just coming to his prime. Maybe 32, he can be a champion. Who knows? And he has already fought 41 times in his career. I think he wins this fight by, I believe, a unanimous decision or maybe a split decision. If it goes to the decision, I think the Brazilian is going to win. Anthony Smith is fighting against Vitor Petrino. Anthony Smith, light heavyweight champion, arguably on paper the greatest light heavyweight of all time. Lionheart, I'm just kidding. He's not the greatest lightweight of all time, but he's definitely one of those fighters that can somehow manage to get a win. In his last fight, he got knocked out by Khalil Rountree, which was in December 2023. I think was now. It's been what, 3 months, 4 months, maybe 5 months. Yeah, it's like 5 months since his knockout against Khalil Rountree, and prior to that, he won against Ryan Spann because Ryan Spann doesn't really have a great fight IQ. He lost against Glover Teixeira, Johnny Walker. This was grappling. He got lost against Johnny Walker and Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev is a dangerous fighter. You don't want to mess with him. Vitor Petrino, I don't know, dude. I mean, I don't know. If this was in America, I would think that Anthony Smith could have gotten a win. But since they're fighting in Brazil, I don't know much about Vitor Petrino, but he is 26 years old. He looks really strong. He is on 11 fight win streak. I think he wins this fight probably by a unanimous decision. Who knows? I think he wins. I think he's a striker, right? Oh, he has a arm triangle choke. So, I mean, come on, the dude is Brazilian, so he should have some kind of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Don't you think so? I mean, if you are a Brazilian, then ultimately, like, at least you should have some knowledge of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So it will depend on how he approaches this fight. I hope he has a good game plan because if you charge like a madman against Anthony Smith, it's not going to go well for you. You need to have a game plan. Like you need to be patient against Anthony Smith unless you're like a super good fighter. Like Anthony Smith is very durable. Anthony Smith is tough. He might not be the most talented fighter, but he's definitely one of the toughest fighters in UFC because you can keep punching him and he still won't go down. Even Khalil Rountree had to like knock him out. Like even Khalil had to like. It took Khalil 3 rounds to knock him out. So I don't know how good Vitor Petrino is. I honestly don't. But since he is an undefeated fighter, they're fighting in Brazil. I'm going to go with Vitor Petrino. I think he wins this fight probably by a finish or maybe a unanimous decision. Or maybe Anthony Smith derails the hype train and everything. The co-main event, Jonathan Martinez, he's fighting against the legend of this sport, Jose Aldo, arguably one of the best featherweight fighters of all time, arguably one of the best fighters of all time, one of the best leg kickers of all time, if not the best, the man who made leg kicks cool, the man who got knocked out by Conor McGregor in 13 seconds. That's how I remember Jose Aldo, because Conor was like coming up, and that was a really weird fight, man. I still remember watching that fight. What a time that was. Jonathan Martinez, he is 30 years old. He also has really good leg kicks, and they're fighting in Brazil. I think the UFC is kind of trying to make this is like a coming out party of Jonathan Martinez. Like if you defeat a legend like Jose Aldo, if you defeat one of the greatest of all time, I won't say he's the greatest of all time, but he's definitely one of the greats. Like you have to think of Jose Aldo as one of the greats. At least top 10, top 15. Jose Aldo is up there. So if you defeat someone like Jose Aldo, people are going to take notice of you. Then you might call for a title shot next. I don't think he's going to get a title shot, but then again, that's Jose Aldo. If you defeat him, you might get a title shot. Who knows? It's a bantamweight division. He's on a 5-fight win streak. No, he's on a 6-fight win streak. He lost against Davy Grant, which was in UFC. That was in 2021. Then after that, he has fought 6 times in the last 3 years. No, I in the last 2 years, 2 to 3 years, he has fought 6 times, and in his last fight, he defeated Adrian Yanez by a lot of leg kicks. So you don't know, man. So I don't know, and I think he should win this fight. As far as Jose Aldo is concerned, he's what 40 years old right now. He's 37, not exactly that old, but the mileage on this guy is on crazy. He is going to be really crazy. 39 fights. He has been out of UFC for what now? He's been out of UFC for like he last fought in 2022 against Merab Dvalishvili. Merab is a completely different fighter compared to Jonathan Martinez, because Jonathan Martinez, he strikes. He likes to strike. He's a good striker, at least with his leg kicks. He's got really, really good leg kicks. So he might win this fight. It'll be interesting to see who has better leg kicks. Then he went on. He has done a couple of boxing matches in 2023. He has had 2 boxing matches, which is good. But I don't think this was like this is a good move for Jose Aldo to come out of retirement and fight against a really young and hungry fighter like Jonathan Martinez, who's just 30 years old. I don't know. I don't see Jose Aldo winning this fight. But then again, he's a veteran. He is a legend. He is someone who's been a former champion. So I think he has the skills to somehow win a fight. He might find a way to win this fight. And also they're fighting in Brazil. They're fighting in, I think, is he from Rio? I think he's from Rio, right? I don't know, man, if he's from Rio, but yeah, he's fighting out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Yeah, he's fighting out of Rio. That is his hometown, the king of the Rio. That's what they used to call him, right? So this is going to be his hometown, his home crowd, his family, his friends, his training partners. Everybody is going to be in the audience. So he might put up a show. So this is kind of a difficult match to call out. I mean, my brain is saying Jonathan Martinez wins this fight by unanimous decision, but my heart is saying Jose Aldo pulls up a vintage Jose Aldo knockout. Can he do that? Absolutely. He's 37. He can do it. He's the 67 number bantamweight worldwide. Yeah, maybe he is, but he's definitely top 10 when it comes to featherweight of all time. I think he's like top 3, dude. Yeah, I think he's like top 3, top 4. I think he's top. At least he's like top 3, right? Who's the best featherweight of all time? Volkanovski. Then we got to put Max in there. What about Conor, man? Conor is a featherweight. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of hard to put. But I think Jose in his prime was, yeah, although in his prime was a different breed, dude. Jonathan Martinez, I think he wins this fight by a unanimous decision. But I still see Jose Aldo. I just kind of hope that Jose Aldo pulls a, vintage Jose Aldo knockout. Maybe we might get to see a vintage Jose Aldo knockout, but I think that will be less likely. I think Jonathan Martinez, he wins this by a unanimous decision. Okay, the main event. Alexandre Pantoja is fighting against Steve Erceg. I have only seen one fight of Steve Erceg. That is against Matt Schnell. And prior to that, he fought once or twice in UFC. He fought against David Dvorak. I don't know how to pronounce his name. And again, he fought against Alessandro Costa. He is on what? A 10-fight win streak, I believe. I might be wrong. Yeah, he probably is in a 10-fight win streak. Yeah, I think he's on a 10-fight win streak. I don't know, man. I don't know. 10 or 11-fight win streak. He definitely has better striking than Alexandre Pantoja. I think he was also a grappler. I don't think he was exactly a wrestler. I think he was more of a grappler. Like when you look at it. He was winning matches by guillotine, RNCs, arm triangle, rear naked chokes. Again, mounted guillotine, rear naked chokes. Then when he got to the UFC, he won by a unanimous decision, and then he knocked out Matt Schnell. So he's probably a jiu-jitsu fighter. So depending on how he does depending on how his gas tank is, I don't know if he has ever fought for 5 rounds in UFC. So, and Alexandre Pantoja is not exactly the most technical fighter, but he just finds a way to win. Like his best way to win is by laying on top of you. He takes you down, then he controls you on the ground for like 5 rounds. Then he'll control you on the ground for the entirety of that round, and that's how he wins fight. And he definitely has power in his hands. He's not exactly the most technical boxer, but he has power in his hands. It'll be interesting because I think when it comes to striking as a, I think like Steve Erceg is definitely a better striker than Alexandre Pantoja. If we talk about his ability to find the chin, I think he has better ability to find the chin. And whereas Pantoja is more about rock him, sock him, robot, he'll just walk forward and he'll just try to land a lot of overhands. Like he'll just plant his feet on the ground, he'll try to swing really hard, and then that's how he wins. And I don't know, dude. I have no idea who's going to win. He's on a he's on a 5-fight win streak. His last fight was against Brendan Royval. I think Brendan Royval started doing well towards the end of the fight. And against Brendan Moreno also, he kind of has the similar game plan against all of against last 2 fights that he has fought. That I saw both those fights live. He kind of has a similar game plan. Like he does really well in the first couple of rounds. Then he gets tired, and then still he just takes his opponent to the ground and he lays on top of them, kind of lays on top of them, basically try to control them on the ground, and that's how he wins the fight, by control time. Can he do that against Steve Erceg? I don't know if we can actually do it against Steve Erceg, because I haven't seen Steve Erceg fight. So my prediction is kind of like Alexandre Pantoja by a unanimous decision, like he did in his last 3 fights. Look, if Steve Erceg has to win this fight, then he kind of has to win this by a finish. I do not see him winning a decision against Alexandre Pantoja. I don't know how good his grappling is, because I have never seen him grapple against Alexandre Pantoja, someone at the level of Alexandre Pantoja. But the UFC sees something in him, and if you are getting a title shot, then you have to take it. And it's, I think, the right thing for Steve Erceg. I have never seen Steve Erceg fight before the Machinel fight, so I don't know how to predict this one. But I'm going to go with Alexandre Pantoja by a unanimous decision. I think that is going to be a good prediction in my opinion. That is going to be a safe prediction, but Steve Erceg is a good underdog, so there might be something in there. There might be something in there. Okay, so I'll just repeat my prediction before the end of this video. Alexandre Costa versus Kevin Borjas. I think Alexandre Costa wins this. I don't know how. Ismael Bonfim versus Vince Pichel. I think Ismael Bonfim wins this by a finish. Diona Barbosa versus Amesta Karakatai. I have no idea. I think someone wins this. Mauricio Rafi versus JB Malarkey. I think Mauricio Rafi wins this. Joaquim Silva versus Dakar Close. I think Silva wins this. I don't know how. John Silva versus William Gomez. I don't know who wins this. Elvis Brener versus Myktybek Orolbai. I think Orolbai wins this by probably by a finish in the third or in the second round or third round maybe. Carolina Kowalkiewicz versus Yasmin Luziando. I think Yasmin Luziando wins this by a unanimous decision. Joe Anderson Brito versus Jack Shore. I think probably, I don't know who wins this one. I genuinely don't. Paul Craig versus Caio Borralho. I'm very sure that Caio Borralho wins this. He should win this by unanimous decision. 3 rounds. Michel Pereira versus Ihor Potieria. I think Michel Pereira wins this by either by unanimous decision or by a late third round TKO. Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino. I think Vitor Petrino wins this one by, you know what, I'm going to go and say Anthony Smith probably wins this. But this is in Brazil. If this was in America, I'd have sided with Anthony Smith. I think Vitor Petrino probably wins this by a unanimous decision, probably a split decision. Who knows? Maybe a split decision. Jonathan Martinez versus Jose Aldo. I think Jonathan Martinez wins this fight by a late second round or a third round finish. I think he wins this by a third round finish. Or maybe a unanimous decision. I think unanimous decision would be a better pick. Alexandre Pantoja versus Steve Erceg. I think Alexandre Pantoja wins this fight by a unanimous decision, like he won last 2 of his last fights. Yeah, that is my prediction, guys. That is how my prediction goes. And before the end of this video, please subscribe to my channel. I've got very few subscribers. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. And yeah, peace out, guys. Peace out.